Hi there, everyone. Welcome to The Daily Gardener. I'm your host, Jennifer Ebling. It's April 24th. I recently had a gardener ask me about the first herb I'd ever grown. That would be chives. Chives, like many herbs, are so easy to grow. Plus, you get that cute little puffball blossom. I had a chef friend show me how she liked to cut off the flower. Then she'd snip a little triangle off the bottom where the bloom and the stem come together. By doing this, you basically get chive confetti, and you can easily sprinkle that little chive blossom over salads or dishes. Mic drop. Here's today's brevities. Today, Japan celebrates Botany Day, a celebration that honors the birthday of the father of Japanese botany, Tomitaro Makino. Makino was born in 1862. His dad was a successful brewer of the Japanese national drink, sake. Makino became fascinated with plants as a boy. He loved to collect specimens every spare minute until he became bedridden before his death. He would roam the countryside, adding to his personal herbarium, which would ultimately max out at over 400,000 specimens. Makino adopted Linnaean principles for naming his plants. In 1940, he published The Illustrated Flora of Japan, an exhaustive work that details more than 6,000 plants. This week, after reading about it, I ordered myself a first edition online from Abe Books for the fine price of $67. The Makino Botanical Garden was built after he died in 1957 at the age of 94. And it was Tomitaro Makino who said, "Plants can survive without humans, but humans can't survive without plants." Today is the birthday of French botanist Lucien Plantefol. He developed his own theory to explain how leaves are arranged on the stems of plants. He served in the First World War. Modern chemical warfare began in his home country of France on April 22, 1915, when German soldiers attacked the French by using chlorine gas. Plantefol was wounded during the war, but he went on to serve his country by working on a team at a national defense laboratory that developed the gas mask. On this day in 2017, Botanist, Vancouver's highly acclaimed new restaurant inside the Fairmont Pacific Rim Hotel, officially opened. They started their first day with breakfast service. Very on trend, the restaurant boasts pastel tones and loads of houseplants. Divided into quarters, Botanist includes a dining room, a cocktail bar and lab, a garden, and a champagne lounge. The lounge is surrounded by glass and planters filled with greenery indigenous to British Columbia. The garden invites guests to chill in a glass-walled space filled with greenery, a trellis, and more than 50 different types of plant species. On this day, Paul George Russell was born in 1889 in Liverpool, New York. His family moved to D.C. in 1902, and he got his first job at the National Herbarium. He would end up working for the government as a botanist for 50 years. Early on, Russell went on collecting trips in northern Mexico with botanists Joseph Nelson Rose and Paul Carpenter Stanley. In 1910, during a trip to Mexico, the Verbena russellii, a woody flowering plant, was named for Russell, and later he accompanied Rose to Argentina, where the Opuntia russellii, a type of prickly pear, was also named for him. Back in the States, Russell was a vital part of the team dedicated to creating the living architecture of cherry trees around the Washington tidal basin. As the consulting botanist, Russell oversaw the planting of all the cherry trees, and he authored a 72-page USDA circular called Oriental Flowering Cherries in March of 1934. It was Russell's most impressive work, and it provided facts on cultivation as well as historical details about the varieties of ornamental cherries grown in the United States. A compiler of over 40,000 seed vials during his career, Russell honed a unique and rare skill. He could identify plant species by seed alone. Pretty amazing. After retiring, Russell began working on a history of USDA seed collection. Sadly, he never finished this endeavor. Russell died at the age of 73 from a fatal heart attack on April 3rd, 1963. The following day, April 4th, Russell had made plans with his daughter to see his beloved cherry blossom trees bloom around the tidal basin. In unearthed words, here's a little verse from Fisherman's Luck by Henry Van Dyke from 1899. The first day of spring is one thing, and the first spring day is another. The difference between them is sometimes as great as a month. In honor of Charles Sprague Sargent's birthday, he was born on this day in 1841, today's featured book is Stephanie Barry Sutton's biography called Charles Sprague Sargent and the Arnold Arboretum. This book was commissioned by the Arboretum to celebrate its centennial. It's both a biography of Sargent and a history of the Arnold Arboretum. For today's garden chore, spring's a wonderful time to clean your windows. When Romeo said, "But soft what light through yonder window breaks," he was onto something. Light needs to break through that glass, but it's hard to do if your windows are dirty. When I spoke with the houseplant guru Lisa Eldred Steinkopf in the Still Growing podcast on episode 598, she brought up this very point. Cleaning your windows is a great chore to do for your indoor houseplants. Finally, here's something sweet to revive the little botanic spark in your heart. While I was researching Sargent, I stumbled on a little story that was in a 1915 article, and it highlighted the personality differences between the ebullient John Muir and the very serious Bostonian, Charles Sprague Sargent. On a fall trip to the southern mountains, Muir and Sargent were climbing the hilltops. Here's what happened, according to Muir. We climbed slope after slope through the trees till we came out on the bare top of Grandfather Mountain. There it all lay in the sun below us, ridge beyond ridge, each with its typical tree covering and color, all blended with the darker shades of the pines and the green of the deep valleys. I couldn't hold it in, and I began to jump about and sing and glory in all of it. Then I happened to look round and catch sight of Sargent standing there cool as a rock, with a half-amused look on his face, but never saying a word. I asked Sargent, "Why don't you let yourself out at a sight like this?" Sargent retorted, "I don't wear my heart on my sleeve." I cried, "Who cares where you wear your little heart, man? There you stand in the face of all heaven coming down on earth, like a critic of the universe, as if to say, 'Come, nature, bring on the best you have. I'm from Boston.'" Thanks for listening to The Daily Gardener, and remember, for a happy, healthy life, garden every day. The Daily Gardener is produced weekdays in lovely Maple Grove, Minnesota. You can find complete show notes over at the website at thedailygardener.org. And be sure to share the show with your garden friends. You can find The Daily Gardener on all of your favorite social media, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, and of course, Facebook. And while you're over at Facebook, don't forget to join the Daily Gardener community. Just search for these 3 words, Daily Gardener Community, and then the group will pop right up, and then you can request to join. Finally, I want to thank my team over at Podfly Productions, where my fabulous editor is Eric Begay. Have a great day in the garden, and we'll see you tomorrow.